And today is Valentine's Day, so wishing you all a very happy Valentine's Day. You're almost at the end of the Valentine's Day, but still, uh, here's my wishes to you. And I just wanted to also have a bake along. That is like the hearts, sending out hearts, and now you could also bake it today. Or let's celebrate Valentine's Day through this whole week as well. Okay. So, what we are going to do today, before which, maybe I'll just check if you guys are able to hear me well, if the voice is audible. Um, can some of you just comment and let me know if the voice is fine? So I could just go ahead and talk about what we are going to do today. So I'm waiting for one or two of you to just comment and tell whether the audio is fine. Audible. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so what we are going to make today is meringue hearts. Okay, so this is nothing but meringue cookies or meringue kisses, and you can bake it in different shapes, and you can call it that name. But they are basically baked meringues. Meringue is nothing but egg whites and sugar, and we're going to add a few extra ingredients like the cream of tartar, which adds the stability to the meringue because you want it to hold shape from after the meringue is made, and then it is a little unstable by itself. It could just turn watery if the stability is not maintained. So we are adding cream of tartar in it. And I've been getting a lot of eggless substitute. In case of the egg whites, like each egg white is about 30 grams, right? So for this recipe, you could use 60 grams of aquafaba. Aquafaba that has worked for me is the one that comes from the chickpea canned chickpea, and that liquid you strain off and take the chickpea out, and you could use that for cooking or making things for your kitchen at home to eat, and I use that liquid. So 30 grams per egg white. Now this is two egg whites, right? So you use 60 grams, and then you can do this, but I haven't tried it, but this is a suggestion. And meringue with the aquafaba, it's worked beautifully for me when making Italian meringue buttercream and Swiss meringue buttercream. So I hope it should work here as well. But the substitute for egg white is aquafaba, in at least in the places of making meringue. Okay. So now let's get to the recipe. What I have here is the sugar, that's caster sugar, and egg whites. There's vanilla, and if you want to add a different flavor to your meringue, because you have to eat it right, and then it will be nice to have different flavors like maybe rose milk or cotton candy, or different other flavors you could add. There's a little bit of salt that has the flavor, brings out the flavor of that sweetness, because it's all going to be like sugar sweet. And that's cream of tartar, which I said is used for giving the stability. Okay, so the process will be like, I'm going to beat the egg whites, and as the egg whites are broken up, I'm going to add the sugar slowly, a little at a time. Okay, then I'm just keep on going to add the sugar, and the egg whites is just going to become really very frothy, but it has to be glossy. And then I'm going to add color. What I have is soft pink uh, color. The Americolor gel is what I'm going to use. You could use any gel color for that matter. I'm going to put the meringue in the piping bag and then pipe them on the baking trays, which I've prepared by keeping silicone mats on the top. You could also have parchment paper and then pipe them on it. And it needs to get baked for 1 hour at 100 degrees Celsius. You have to preheat the oven for 100 degrees Celsius only. We are going to slow bake with a very, very low temperature, because if it is in the higher temperature, it is going to brown and it is going to lose its color. So 100 degrees is what you need to do, 100 degrees Celsius. And bake for about 1 hour, and then keep the oven door closed for 2 more hours and allow it to be there, because you don't want to take it out and then it's going to collapse, and then it's going to also become sticky well kept in room temperature. And storage, obviously, you have to put them in airtight containers, because that is only sugar. And if you want to leave in room temperature, it's going to absorb moisture and then become sticky and become very marshmallow no texture. So put them in airtight container and room temperature is going to be good. In refrigerator is also good. For 2 weeks also the meringues are going to be great, but kept in airtight container. Okay, so let's start making the meringue. Okay, so I have the KitchenAid. Into this, I'm going to add the egg whites first. And before beating the egg whites, I want to add the salt and cream of tartar into the sugar itself. So they all just get combined and then goes inside when the sugar is added into the whites. So I'm just mixing it up. You can use a wire whisk. So it is just evenly spread out. Okay, so I'm just going to get the KitchenAid in and going to start beating this on medium high speed first until the egg whites are broken up and becomes frothy first. So I just want to show how the foamy egg whites look. Okay. So you can just check it is watery, but then I need to continue beating. But then that's the foaminess. Okay. So when you get to this stage, you need to beat on high speed and continue to add the sugar mixture now that has the salt and the cream of tartar, right? You need to keep adding that in a slow stream. So I'm slowly adding the sugar a little at a time. You're not supposed to add the sugar all at a time. Then meringue won't form properly. So just keep adding a little at a time. Once you've done adding all the sugar, you'll allow the meringue to beat on high speed now. We just finished adding the sugar, but I just want to show how it looks. You can see it is just flowing. There's no stiff peaks, but then how it looks at this stage is like this. Okay, it is flowy, but then white in color. Okay, so now I will beat again on high speed until I have stiff peaks. Now this is like really very soft and runny, right? Now continue to beat until you have stiff peaks. Now I'm just going to add vanilla also. Okay, so that's the vanilla extract I'm adding in now. And to reduce the speed so it doesn't splatter out. I know I'm going to use pink color, right? So depending on what color you want, then just add in. Just adding one drop to check if that's the color I want. One more. And then another drop. I'm just checking if the color is okay. So now I'm going to continue beating this and check for the peaks. So now let me check the consistency. Is it stiff or still soft? So how do you know it's going to hold the shape? You're just going to have the peaks test. So need to scrape down. Okay, so that's how it's going to look after a few minutes of beating. So I'm going to check for the peaks. Now if I just lift it out of the spatula, if it falls down back, which means it is still in the stiff peak stage, right? Now if I just hold this spatula, now it is going to fall down, right? Which means it is in the soft peak stage. Now I will continue to beat until we have stiff peaks. Now it is better than the previous stage where it was quite runny. Now it is holding shape, but it is in the soft peak stage. To beat again, maybe it could take 2 more minutes. I'm going to check again for the peaks. Okay, so it's falling down still, right? So let's beat for some more time on high speed. So increase the speed a bit more. I'm just going to scrape down the sides a bit. And beat for some more time. We also want the meringue to be glossy and not lose the glossiness. I'm just going to check now. Just quite peaks are falling down, okay, but then not as much as before. Okay, so this peak is standing stiff, and so and also you can check for them. So I'm just going to stop beating now. Just want to show how the glossiness has to be. You don't want to overbeat beyond a stage. This one is going to look like this. Just hold shape. Okay, so when you're going to pipe, it is just going to also hold the shape that we are going to pipe. So now I have a tall glass and I'm going to fill up a piping bag. Now before filling, I'm going to fit the piping bag with a star nozzle. So that's the nozzle I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to put it inside the piping bag. Just make sure it's just fitted well. And the easier way to fill a piping bag is to have a tall glass, and then I'm going to fill the glass and scrape it on the glass so you could easily just fill the piping bag. I'm just going to take the prepared baking tray. I'm just going to squeeze down and get the filled meringue down in the piping bag. Yes, I'm just going to start piping. So I'm just looking at hearts, right? So I'm just going to pipe a big shell here and then another big shell in this direction and then join them together. So we just want the shells to join at the base. You just want both the shells that you're piping to be as one piece. So you could pipe them in different shapes, and only because today is Valentine's Day, we're just making it in pink and then making hearts. Or you could pipe it in the meringue kisses style as well, which is nothing but making one dollop and then just squishing and taking the piping bag on the top. So that will be the last one. Okay, so this I'm just going to put it in the oven. We just need the baking tray. Okay, so let me just show you how the shape looks. So it's just going to hold the shape and okay, so this is what is going to go into the oven. And I have a batch because it needs to get baked for an hour, right? So today morning I made a batch and then it is lying there, which I'm just going to take it out and show what it looks like after this gets baked. Okay, so this I'm going to put it in the oven. The oven has been preheating at 100 degrees Celsius, and this needs to bake for 1 hour. Don't worry, it is just going to be safe, and the color will not change, and nothing will burn. And after the 1 hour, switch off the oven and don't open the oven door, and then leave the oven door closed and let it be there, continue to be there for 2 more hours. Okay, so more moisture is just going to go out and it's going to become really very dry, and that's what we want. Now after the 2 hours, if you take it out, it is going to be hard. Okay, you can start eating it after that, and after you've done with tasting, and then you know you have to store it for later, then you have to take from the baking tray and then put them in airtight containers and then leave it in room temperature, because in times like summer and then maybe it is raining outside, and then if it is a very humid time, then if you're going to leave it out after baking in the room temperature open, it is going to capture the moisture from the atmosphere, and it is going to become very sticky. And you could save the sticky ones if at all it has taken up moisture. The only thing we could do is to dehydrate it. What we do, we put it back into the oven at 100 degree Celsius and allow it to cook, bake for 30 minutes, and then allow some moisture that it has taken up from the atmosphere to evaporate, and so we have the ones that are dry. But then color could keep changing because we are over baking it. So try to keep it in room temperature. In the airtight container, and room temperature is fine. But if you think you want to store it for longer, you could put it in the fridge, but an airtight container is going to keep this really with a long shelf life. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in the oven, and these are the baked ones. Okay, so you can see they're just quite, if you can hear the sound. Okay, so the back, you can see the color is not even changed. It is like beautiful pink with two shells locked together in the shape of the heart. Okay, so all of them are like that, baked so nicely, not browned bottom, color retained. Okay, so I'm just going to break one and show how it is on the inside. So you can see, okay, the texture. You can see the egg whites, the porous egg whites there. I'm just going to break this. Okay, so the egg whites, and then how solid and brittle it has become. And then if stored well, because it was an airtight, I finished making the morning, and then the outside is not sticky at all. But then if it is going to be in the room temperature now for quite a long time, then this will become sticky. So after this, I have to store it in the airtight container if I'm going to leave it in room temperature or in refrigerator. Okay, so with this, we've come to the end of making the meringue hearts for Valentine's Day, and hope you'll make it. And because this meringue cookies without the hearts, we just piped them like stars, and I'd made them years back, and it didn't turn out well. And then I was like, I never made it back again. And so when I was looking for Valentine's desserts, there have been lots of desserts floating around for Valentine's Day. But I thought something which didn't work out for me several years back, I have to try it again. And whatever mistakes I made years back, I just wanted to tell you guys the right way of doing it. So the only thing that you need to keep in mind is the color at the back of the um, meringue should not change, and the color that which you piped the meringue also should not change. That's the key. So you could make dollops of the meringues and bake them, and decorate on your cakes. Just not just for eating, and then meringue is just meringue for eating purposes, or it is not a dessert by itself. Also, you can eat it obviously, but then they make a really beautiful additional decoration on the top of the cake or on the sides of the cake. Or you could just make like a bigger rosette and insert at the bottom a wooden skewer and bake with a wooden skewer. When you take it out, it's going to come like a lollipop, and that you can poke it on top of the cake. And there all the variations that you could pipe the meringue and then attach it. So even if you have taken out like this, you could pipe melted white compound chocolate. But then if you're using chocolate, you have to know you have to temper it. So I'm just using the word compound. So you don't have to temper it. Melt the white compound and then attach the skewer and allow the chocolate to melt fully. Set fully. Okay. So the stick is going to get itself attached to this, and again you can just poke on top of the cake. Now, even if not for the hearts, you could do that for different other shapes, and that you could use it on your cake for different themes that you can make. Okay, so hope you like this live today of making meringues and then knowing different ways of using them also. So I'm just going to look for the comments to see if there are any doubts. Cream of tartar. I said in the beginning of the live itself, it adds stability to the meringue. It doesn't allow the meringue to just loosen out, just create water, the base, and then it is just going to be unstable. That is prevented by the addition of cream of tartar. Make eggless also. I had told before, in place of the whites, for each egg white, use 30 ml of aquafaba. So you will need 60 ml of aquafaba for this recipe because it calls for 2 egg whites. Want to make sugar free? No, because it is just only sugar. You eat it, it is going to be sweet. Sugar is the main ingredient and you don't have a substitute for sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to look for Instagram comments. Video will be saved. Yes, it will be there on the YouTube for you to go and check. Also, it will be there on the website under the menu tutorials and free tutorials. You can find them under free tutorials on the website, and then it will also be on the YouTube. Not adding that on the IGTV anymore because anyway the size is big. And then eggless, I told, which is the aquafaba, 30 ml for each egg white. You use 60 ml for this recipe. Why? In some of the, I think it is there. Can this be delivered to other state? Yes, you put it in airtight for a week also, it is going to be nice. Okay, so you can just put them in airtight containers and then just ship it. It is going to be great. Looking for more comments. The Instagram comments has been just scrolling up, and then macaroons as almond meal in it. This is not macaroons. This is meringue, just egg whites and sugar. Repeat, the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. Preheat and then bake for 1 hour and then leave it in the oven for 2 more hours with the oven switched off and the oven door closed, and then you can take it out and then it is ready to be eaten or served. But for storing, you have to immediately transfer them into airtight containers. Should be baked with both the rods on, fan on. I mean, all the baking, you just follow what you've been doing to your rest of your bakes because each oven works differently and you know how your oven works. So just bake in the regular way that you've been baking. How to place them on cakes? Like I said, while piping itself, you could have a wooden skewer at the bottom and it will come baked with a wooden skewer nicely attached to this, and then you can use a wooden skewer and then poke on the cakes on the top, or you could just attach on the sides also, well and good. Now if you forgot to add the stick before baking, now these are solid, right, and then dry. Now you can brush some melted white compound and then attach the skewer and then allow the chocolate to set here in room temperature. And once the chocolate is set, the stick will be attached to this piece, and after which you can just use it to poke it on the cake on the top, so it just stays like that. Okay, so most of them I've answered. I'm just repeating because I'm just reading through the comments here. Okay, if you put on the cake sides, it has to stay, yes, as long as the moisture doesn't seep through and then touch the top, it will stay on the sides and then on the top as well. We color, this will become soggy. You can't color after it is baked and it is already in this color, right? I mean, I don't think you can use vodka and then maybe paint on it. Vodka will evaporate, right? It is not going to remain there for a long time. You can use gel colors, mix it with vodka, and then use a brush, and then maybe if you want to make it very artistic, then you can go inside every streaks and then paint. Vodka will evaporate, color will stay. You can do marbling. You can take the meringue and then transfer it into 3-4 bowls and then mix each bowl in different colors and then add a little bit of each of the color in the piping bag and then pipe, and then you're going to have multicolored or unicorn or rainbow themed meringue kisses, or whatever shape you could. You can also pipe rosettes, whatever piping skills you could just pipe them in that way. You can also pipe some longer plated designs or basket weaves with a stick, and you could pipe like 3/4 length of the stick and then bake it, and then whole thing is going to be like a lollipop, because you can just hold it with the stick and then eat it also, and then poke on the cake also. Okay, so size of the cake, not much, because obviously it's going to be in the room temperature for so long, the top will be sticky. But then you have to place it on the cake as it is the last thing that you can do before sending it out. Even if the cream on the sides is going to seep through this and reach here, or the atmospheric moisture, this will start catching that, and again it could get soggy on the top. So obviously you have to know exposed out for longer period of time is going to make the top sticky. So that is the understanding that we should have. Okay, so usually I bake cake with the lower cookies on. Which one should I use? You need to try, Soumya. Try one batch, like maybe half it, and then use it for one egg, and then see how it comes out. And then if it comes out good, then you can stick to one of the methods that you're using. And maybe if it has trouble, then use the other one, right? I have an oven which doesn't even have a fan, so I can't even comment on fan on, because even without it, to me it works. So each oven is different, so it will work differently for everybody, and the oven thing you will be able to figure out by baking one batch. Okay, can we add almond in these comments? This marketer, I'm not able to check. Can we add almond meal to this? I am not sure of that. It is the macaroons recipe. And into this, I haven't added and tried, so I may not be able to comment saying that, okay, you can do this, so you will get this and this result. So that I will not be able to comment. Shelf life, 2 weeks to even a month, this is going to be fine. Meringues are going to be fine even for more than 2 weeks to up to a month, but stored in airtight container. Okay. So I think you've done with all the comments, and if you're making them, just post it on the Instagram stories and then tag Fun Bites. And so I get to know that you've made it. You can also make and then post it on the Facebook Fun Bites Bake Along group. So I get to know that you have made, and so let's celebrate Valentine's Day through this week, because we have learned it only at the end of the day on Valentine's. So until next time, I'm going to catch you up on something to do with puff pastry, because I've already decided what I'll be doing in the next bake along. So catch you up there, and until next time, signing out now.